Is it better to be a jack of all trades or a master of one? Discuss, because I was going to do a discussion video about this, and I've got my own opinions on it, but I think it would be interesting hearing your guys' thoughts.
Well, I'll hop in first. I think about that a lot. I think it has to do with your preferences, because like my main and number one focus is hard surface and absolutely mastering that subject over like, sculpting or something else. And I know plenty of other people that much prefer to kind of have experience in all sorts of areas in Blender, but not necessarily be as proficient had they studied one. So I guess it depends on the person. Like for me, every day I just want to focus on hard surface and get mastery at that rather than a good skill set at everything else. So it depends.
I think it also depends on what you do and where you are. Like for example, if you're in a really large studio, chances are you'll be specializing a lot quicker because there's a lot more people around you with specializations. And if you're in a smaller studio or freelance, I think you almost get forced into being a jack of all trades. Just because if you need to deliver finished stuff, then you need to know the whole pipeline if you're on your own. So, but yeah, I think it's a choice for the most part as well. Like I like everything. I like more the technical side, but for most of most of the pipeline, I like it. So to be generalist sort of fits it, I guess.
Yeah, I think
likewise.
If you decide to be more of a generalist, you have a lot more chance to learn a lot of new different things and refine your learning process. That's kind of the thing I like about it, is the fact that every day is a new day and there's always new things to learn. And of course, that's true about being vertically oriented, but it just seems like, especially how fast things change in the world in terms of what you tend to focus on. One day you're focusing on, optimizing meshes, and then all of a sudden Unreal comes along and they say, hey, don't worry about your optimizing meshes anymore. And you're thinking, oh, what does that mean for workflow from now on? So it just seems like, problem solving is kind of a key thing, I guess, that you have to do in all cases. But I like to think that being a generalist helps you build your ability to learn things quickly, faster.
Yeah, I'll add in too. I've been able to I've been forced to be a generalist because I'm on a smaller team and we're all generalists, and we're doing a lot of cool work that probably will never ever see the light of day. But it's unless they take the NDAs out and the proprietary stuff, and then it shows up on the news one day, and I'm like, that's my shot. Other than that, it's like being a generalist is awesome because you really do get to do every part of the pipeline. That said, if you want to work in a big studio and you want to be like in the lighting department or something, then focus on just lighting. Or if you want to be, a rigger, focus on rigging. But I'm hearing though, and maybe you guys have heard it too, that especially with COVID and especially with budgets getting slashed and everything, that I'm hearing people are kind of like being told to do more on their own shots and finish their own shots off. And I need to talk to a few more people to find out how much this is happening. But I wonder if at some point, like it's kind of going back in that generalist direction, because when 3D started, all this stuff started, like people were just kind of generalists doing this, like just hey, we got a computer, let's just make we got an Amiga and we have a copy of Lightwave and let's go and make stuff for TV shows. And they were like generalists, right? And then stuff like really segregated and everything became compartmentalized. And now it seems like with budgets getting splashed, it's kind of like ebb and flow, right? So I don't know if you guys have heard that happening more, but in LA I'm hearing a little bit of that happening, and it'd be great to get other people's, because I'm in a place separate from entertainment, but we've all been generalists for years. So I'd be kind of interested to hear like the big, standardized production houses, what they're doing, and if it's more kind of going in the more of a generalist direction, or if it's like staying compartmentalized, or if it's on a case by case basis. But it's really interesting. This whole COVID thing is having a big effect on things.
There was a time, a few years ago, when I was trying to get a job in this field. Now, just for a bit of context, because my dad's a special effects supervisor, I've had a lot of work experience on sets and behind the scenes, and doing some collaborations with visual effects houses in studio. But I was actually trying to get like an actual job, like an office job, maybe at Frame Store, ILM, something like that, you know, around London. But when I was applying, something that struck me at the time was that the job listings were hyper specific. There was a lot of stuff
Yeah.
like they wanted to hire someone for like facial rendering and stuff like that, and you think, okay, well, how many people are going to apply for like this specific like, facial rendering role, you know? And you got to be like just so hyper focused in that. And there's other stuff like creature artists as well, which creature artists is slightly more general, you know. I imagine that there's more of them, but again, it's still like hyper focused, and I'm like, wow, they that's kind of hard, because you'd think that if someone wants to apply for that and get through, they need to spend a lot of time on that one thing, and this may be the only company that's ever going to hire like a specific, you know, like facial artist like that, especially around, you know, London and that. Well, London's a bit of a unique case because it's got the most number of visual effects houses in the world for a city, I think. So the chances are probably higher there. But I'm just having a look now on the Frame Store website, for example, and I'm seeing more general freelance roles than there used to be, especially for New York, which is interesting. Freelance design, I never saw anything like that. So I'm wondering if there is a slight movement towards more general types of work.
I will say that I envy specialists like Gabe. Like, I wish I could know everything about like materials and stuff like this. Being a generalist is probably, you know, it's a better move, but it's I don't think it's as fulfilling as like having mastery over like a certain field.
Yeah, I think it's easier to market yourself when you're a specialist, and I think because of that, it's easier for people to see ways that they could use your skills in a project. For example, before this podcast, I was looking at some of your work, Midge, and like your style is so specific and high level that like I was just thinking of all the ways, all the type of work that could apply to. And so if I ever have that type of like commercial come up, like that's such an easy connection for me to make. So in that respect, being a specialist helps.
There's something I was going to add on as well. It's like you've got, outside of specialization, you've got style on top of that as well. So that also brings stuff into the mix. Like you could be a generalist with a very specific style, which makes you maybe look like a specialist in one way, but you maybe aren't in another.